Good evening, everyone. Well, couple of weeks ago, when I got this briefing from Lakshman, the title went as Mobile, the New Frontier of Enterprise Computing. But then I saw the invite that came to all of you. He has changed it. Mobile technology, ignore at your own peril. I think he has been very aggressive towards the enterprise. I think he's right. It's not an option anymore. Mobile has to be part of your enterprise IT strategy. And I would like to thank Lakshman for two things. Firstly, inviting me to be part of this eminent panel, and also to pulling off an event of this nature with a timely topic at a time where the world has reached billion smartphones. It was a couple of weeks ago that world reached billion smartphones. And the first smartphone, anybody can tell when it came? It was way back in 1996 by Nokia. So it took 16 years to reach this milestone, a billion smartphone in 16 years. But how long do you think for the next billion to reach? I believe it will happen in less than 3 years. A smartphone adoption is happening at a very high rate. All the players are betting on this, and more smartphone adoptions, and especially due to the platform like Google's Android, even the common people are now gaining access to smartphones. Now, why are we talking about this topic now? Why didn't we talk about it some time ago? Why now? We've been using mobile phones all these years. That's mainly, okay, before I come into that piece, with these smartphones, all of a sudden, in your enterprise, you will see your customers, partners, suppliers, and more than that, even your employees, carrying all these cool gadgets. So all your suppliers, customers, partners, and employees now have very advanced computing capability in their pockets, as well as on their palms. So with that, some start demanding certain applications. I think Ramesh will talk more about it later. But then people like Ramesh and the CIOs start thinking what can be delivered to these devices, to all these people like customers, partners, suppliers, and also employees, from field service delivery to field force automation, ERP access, business intelligence, things like travel and expense claims, CRM, all those kind of applications, limitless possibilities of enterprise applications. Now again, let me come back. Why we are talking about this now? Before the smartphone emergence, this is how the world looks like. I think most of us used to carry some of these phones. Dumisha had a very early stage evolution of phone, a dumb phone. And then you had feature phones. And of course, we had smartphones as well, because it was available since 1996. But the problem was the ecosystem. For developers like us, it was a nightmare to publish applications. Same goes to enterprises. Then there were connectivity challenges as well, the speeds and so forth. And it was a highly fragmented space. If you think the smartphone space is fragmented, forget it. I mean, this was a very complex fragment. It's a very complex level of fragmentation. Very difficult to deploy apps. Most of the time, you have to be on the mercy of an operator to deliver applications, or a third-party content provider. My good friends at Etisalat are laughing because the things have changed. Those days, mind you, it's a tough one. These guys used to give us a tough time. So who changed this? This man with his company and this phone changed the whole world. But most of the people see the game changer as the iPhone. Actually, it's not only the iPhone, the beautiful ecosystem they came up with. An ecosystem so neat and clean, where app developers all over the world can easily take multitude of apps to the users and provision it seamlessly. Before that, it was a tough one. So this game-changing ecosystem was taken off and really taken to another level by other key players, mainly by Google with their Android platform. And they made it open source, so everybody started adapting. So if you look at now, there are four key players. Apple, Google, RIM, Microsoft, with iOS, Android, BlackBerry, and Windows 8 platform. And mind you, Windows 8 was very late to join this party or join this game, I would say. But trust me, they have done a pretty impressive job. The Windows 8 platform was launched last week, and Windows 8 devices was launched last week, and it looks very promising, and it's very much enterprise aligned. So we are going to see a very interesting future in the enterprise mobility space because of Microsoft entry. So these are the key players. Now, what is the platform the enterprises should adapt? People must be thinking, what platform we should deploy? What type of platform to use? Well, we had an entire corporate world, entire enterprise world had a perfect solution. BlackBerry. It was perfect. Worldwide, all enterprises were using BlackBerries, and they gave BlackBerries to all their staff. And for people like Ramesh, governing the whole thing was very easy because it was secure, it is one device, managing everything was through the BlackBerry Enterprise Server, those platforms, and the apps distribution, lots of apps were there, enterprise apps. Then what happened? So that man you saw in the previous slide changed the game. Then what all of a sudden happened in enterprise was people start bringing their own devices. People started bringing an iPhone to the office, Android-based device to the office. And they started asking for all those features like calendaring, email, on their personal device. They said, this is cool. This BlackBerry isn't cool anymore. I don't want to type and do all those things. I would rather want to have a touch experience. So they demanded. So the whole thing changed. Even customers, partners, suppliers started using all these devices. So it's now a bigger problem for the enterprise. That perfect world of BlackBerry isn't there. I'm not going to talk about BlackBerry and what's happening to them and what's their future. And unfortunately, they fail to innovate, and they're struggling because other people have taken off, leapfrog, and they're really struggling. Let's see what's the future hold for them. Then I'm supposed to give a developer's perspective, so I'm sharing what development tools are available to develop for smartphones and platforms. Well, basically, there are three ways of doing development. One is, of course, a native approach, I would say. You build apps, native apps, and distribute it through the respective app store. So these are, most of you who use an Android phone or an iPhone must be used to this ecosystem. Then came the next model, the web apps. With the evolution of HTML, HTML5 rather, you can give richer, modern user experience in a web browser. So you can deliver a uniform functionality across all devices with web apps. But all these platforms, I must say, has its pros and cons. The last one is, of course, the hybrid approach, where you have mix of native as well as web apps. As per the global surveys, most of the enterprise like to adapt a hybrid approach because that gives best of both worlds. Then what you see emerging, I'm not an expert on this area, but this is happening all over the world with the big players because of the opportunities that are lying with very large companies, even large companies as if you look at from Sri Lankan context, John Keel's, mobile enterprise application platforms. All the big vendors, all the big players are bringing their own mobile enterprise application platforms to build, distribute, secure, govern all aspects, giving through one platform. So to sum up, I've been asked to be crisp and clean by the moderator. So, and also my colleague Ramesh wanted more time to show a video, a very interesting video, so I'm going to cut short. But by summarizing these points, some of the challenges that you will face is basically bring your own device is going to continue. Your employees going to bring their own device. Partners, suppliers, customers, they will use their own devices. And device fragmentation, form factors will continue. Then back-end integrations are going to be a big challenge in large organizations because you have your legacy systems, you have your own CRMs, HRMs, supply chain solutions, intranets, which you need to connect and deliver services, provision services to the mobile devices. Security is a challenge always. All of a sudden you see corporate data in your employees' pockets, employees' tablets. So that's a serious concern. And choosing the right platform, native versus mobile, web versus hybrid, which methodology to be used. Then the next bigger challenge is the user experience. You know, enterprise users will reject a product delivered by the enterprise if it's not as if the user experience is not as sexy as a consumer app that was downloaded by the App Store. Because all these users are used to using very cool apps which are downloaded from the App Store. All these apps are competing among themselves to be the best. So once they download those and experience those, they demand similar user experience from IT divisions. So whatever the application they deliver has to be in par with those. Then the governance. Governance is a big challenge. How you control, how you provision, how you manage the whole applications is a big challenge. And finally, these are some few thoughts. I mean, there can be many more. Keeping up with the rapid innovations in mobile space is a big challenge. Unlike in other areas, mobile technology evolved very fast. Even if you look at a particular platform per se, even like iOS or Android, within a year, sometimes you won't be surprised if there are 3 updates of the same, 3 product updates, you know. With these updates, you need to keep track and provision services accordingly. So you need to have a very dynamic IT team because IT staff is usually traditionally used to do a long implementation, deploy, and reap the benefits across number of years. That model is also changing, but that's the traditional model. But with mobile, you can't do that. Mobile innovation happens so fast, you have to keep up with it. So finally, when you design the application and deliver, you have to take lots of factors into consideration. You can't just select a particular approach as the best. It all depends on what you're trying to achieve. You have to seriously think what objectives I'm trying to achieve with this particular application, and based on that, you need to devise the respective strategy. I'll discuss this more during the Q&A. Thank you very much.